Hey there, name's Alex, and I'm no economist, but I'm also not a military vlogger. And for the record, I've also never served in the military either. Back when I was graduating from high school, my country, a NATO member, mind you, decided that it would move away from mandatory conscription military service to an entirely professional, entirely volunteer military because also a lot of other Western civilized, wealthy countries, democratic countries have apparently figured it out that you want your fighting done by willing, highly trained, highly motivated, well equipped, and well paid professionals. Who would have figured? Anyway, some people would think that since I haven't been in the military, that disqualifies me from ever talking about subjects related to war, such as the current conflict or any conflict for that matter. Well, those people can, in my opinion, shut the fuck up because what you've spent a few months to maybe a year trying to hide from anyone with a cap, standing at attention, peeling potatoes, cleaning toilets, and maybe firing off less and or fewer live rounds than I have as a civilian, and with a lower variety of different firearms. And even though I may have read Sun Tzu's The Art of War or Miyamoto Musashi's The Book of Five Rings, even though I didn't actually read, I listened to those on audio. And here's a plug and a piece of good advice. If you ever come across some good audiobook on YouTube, always listen to it before they take it down for copyright because it's probably copyrighted. And it will get taken down. So try and listen to it even at increased speed. And yeah, I know piracy is bad, and support your favorite creators, especially the ones that do work that you appreciate. And I've also actually read The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, but I'm less qualified to talk about any of that than someone who's spent a few months trying to hide from command and basically screw around while in the military. But if you're someone like me and you're neither a military blogger nor an expert like someone like Scott Ritter, also Scott Ritter, if you're looking, fuck you, just in general. And a lot of other people who've been predicting that the war in Ukraine will be over in days to weeks, like Scott Ritter, a lot of people haven't owned up to their failed predictions. But if you're someone like me and you're not an expert and you're not a blogger or vlogger in the military and you've never served in the military, you may be confused as to what's going on, what's happening, who started this war, how's it going, who's winning, who did what, who was right, who's wrong, etc. Oh, if you're like me, you have to trust external sources like media or other involved people, someone on the ground, or experts, or pretend experts, or maybe official propaganda, or on both sides, either on Russia, the West, or Ukraine in particular. And how do you know who you can trust? Well, basically, you choose who you side with, but specifically for what's coming out of Russia, uh, I'm having difficulty trusting them because let's take a look at, for example, someone like. Uh, just a moment to share my screen. Yeah, bear with me. Hopefully, you can see this fine gentleman. Let's see what he has to say. Someone apparently wearing a helmet helmet indoors, probably protecting something very important in that cranium of his. Apparently, his name is Vladimir Saldo, I think it was. Let me check to verify his name just to be sure. A moment. Yeah, Vladimir. I thought it may be Victor, but yeah, his name is Vladimir Saldo. Apparently, the Russian occupation force appointed mayor of the city of Novokakhovka near the dam that was blown up. And let's see what he has to say.
Город Новая Каховка и все города, которые находятся ниже по течению, это и Олежки, это и Голая пристань, это и сам Херсон, и другие населенные пункты, живут. Люди спокойно двигаются по улицам. Он только что проезжал по улицам, люди спокойно работают автозаправки, работают некоторые магазины, работают даже предприятия.
Okay, so he's saying that, excuse me, he's saying that despite what you may have heard about the blast of the Novokakhovka Dam, everything is normal, everything's fine. And if you listen to the Russians, it wasn't them that blew up the dam. It was the Ukrainians, of course. Why would the Russians blow it up? It's the Ukrainians, of course. It's always the Ukrainians. Everything that's done is the Ukrainians. The Ukrainians are shelling and firing missiles at their own cities and whatnot, at least if you listen to Russian propaganda. But for me, how do I know that it's the Russians that blew up the Novokakhovka Dam? I'm certain of it. Because when the Novokakhovka dam blew up, the portion of it that blew up was controlled by the Russians. And the dam was designed and built during the Soviet Union times in such a way that it would be able to withstand a nearby nuclear blast. And we are aware that the Ukrainians have in the past managed to blow up other dams in the start of the war to slow the progress of invading Russians. But what could the Ukrainians gain in this case by blowing up this dam? Little to nothing. It probably stopped even their potential advances. And the part of the bridge the dam that was blown up was under the control of the Russians, and we already said that this dam was potentially nuclear blast withstanding or capable of withstanding. And the Ukrainians have been shelling both the surface of that dam, the road that runs over it, and the Antonovsky Bridge with both gun artillery and HIMARS missiles, and barely being able to inflict sufficient damage to the surface of the road as to render it unusable by Russian forces. So the blast had to have been from the inside by the Russians who were controlling it at the time. But if you see someone like this gentleman, again, let me share him. If you see someone like this gentleman, apparently trustworthy, probably has a lot of expertise and probably protecting something very important in that cranium of his under that helmet, and he's telling you also this is one other reason I think the Russians did it. If it was the Ukrainians that did it, the Russians would be blowing it out of proportions. They would be saying, look at how much flooding and destruction and damage this has caused and loss of life. But on the contrary, they're doing quite the opposite. They're trying to minimize the effect. They're saying that, look, there's hardly any damage. Everything is normal. As you can see, people are walking around the streets. Cars are running. Some businesses are operating, and even some gas stations are working. But what you see here, you maybe saw it in the video. If not, maybe let me show it to you again. One moment. Where'd the video go? Don't tell me I switched it off. Yeah, will be with us in a moment.
это и Олежки, это и Голая пристань, это и сам Херсон.
Yeah, if you can't see it while he's talking, you can clearly see that there's water on the outside, waist deep.
Люди спокойно работают автозаправки, работают некоторые.
Anyway, enough of him talking. Because now that yeah, that was awkward. Apologies. So you saw this gentleman, apparently trustworthy, and you saw what's right outside of the window to him. Now, who do you trust? This fine-looking gentleman. I'm going to share his face again, just his face. Now, who do you trust? This fine and trustworthy gentleman who probably wouldn't be motivated to lie to you, or your own lying eyes seeing what was behind him right outside of the window? And now, if you're someone like me and you're not an expert in the military, and you're not a military blogger, or you've never served in the military, you may be confused. Really, how do I know? Could this fine, trustworthy gentleman here maybe be lying to me? Now, I'm going to help you with that. I've devised a very simple algorithm how you can discern if a Russian propagandist is lying to you. And I'm going to share this with you, the algorithm that I've created, because I'm an engineer. We engineers like our algorithms. And I'm going to share with you the simple algorithm how to tell if a Russian propagandist is lying to you. Now, the algorithm and the flowchart, because us engineers also love our flowchart, goes something like this. How to tell if a Russian propagandist is lying to you. First thing we need to do is check his mouth. I'm going to make this maybe a little bit bigger. Increase font size, maybe bold it also. Yeah, first thing we need to do is to check his mouth. And the first check we have to perform with his mouth, going to be an arrow here. Maybe need to make this arrow bigger. Yeah, something like this. Now the next shape I want to insert, this is going to be our first check. The first check we perform. I'm going to use a color like this. No connections to anything. I want to connect this right to establish the connection. And I want to optimize some of the space here. It has to look good. So the first check that we're going to perform is his maybe we need some other text color here. What will stand out? Is his mouth open? And I'm also going to bold this text to make it slightly larger. Yeah, so the first check is going to be, is his mouth open? And it's going to diverge from this in two directions. First direction is going to be the no direction. His mouth is not open. In this direction. Let's also make this a little bit bigger, like the other one. And this says no. And I'm going to want to also increase the size of this. And also, I like this color better. And yeah, I'm going to directly copy this field from here. And we're going to connect it over here, only we're going to write some other text on top of that. Connect this up. This is how we do process flowcharts in engineering professionally. At least not when our bosses are looking. When our bosses are looking, we make this a lot more worryingly. And we want this to fit inside of our field. And so if his mouth is not open, then he's not telling lies. He's just thinking them. And I apparently need to expand this to be more visible. Yeah, so if his mouth is not open, then he's not telling lies, at least not out loud. He's just thinking them. Next, we're going to check what happens if his mouth is open. If his mouth is open, the next thing you're going to want to check, another check that we're going to place here. The next question we're going to be asking, is there a dick in his mouth? Like this. Because it's not uncommon to find Russian propagandists with another man's penis in their mouth. And what happens if there is a penis in their mouth? Well, I'm going to show you right away. Now, if there's a penis in one's mouth, it's not very likely that they'll be able to be telling lies now, would they? Will they? Again, this, however, is going to be, in this case, yes. And we also have a yes going in this direction because this is a flowchart. It has to look good and it has to have all of its indications. Now, well, we've already started and we've discussed what we need to check first. Is his mouth open? And if not, then he's not telling lies, but he is thinking them. He's just not telling them out loud. But if his mouth is open, the next thing we need to check for is there a dick in his mouth? And if there's a dick in his mouth, it's impolite to speak when you're with your mouth full, and then he's probably not telling lies, he's just thinking them, not telling them out loud. Because it's very difficult to tell lies with another man's penis in your mouth. I don't know if you've tried it. I've never tried it, but from what I've seen from Russian propagandists, they often tend to have another man's penis in their mouth. And finally, if his mouth is open, and also there isn't another man's penis in there, then we come to the end of this flowchart. I'm just going to connect this up. So if his mouth is open and there's no penis inside of it, then he's taking you for a fool. I.e., lying to you. Yeah, hopefully you can see this. And this is now the simple algorithm explained with this very simple flowchart, how to tell if a Russian propagandist is lying to you. First, you check his mouth to see if it's open. If it's not open, then he's not telling lies, he's just thinking them. If his mouth is open, then you first need to check if there's another man's dick in there. If there is, again, he's not lying to you, he's just thinking lies, but he's not telling them out loud. Apparently, I have a title here, sorry. That's better. So if his mouth is open and there's no dick in there, then he's taking you for a fool. He thinks you're a fool and he can lie to you. That's it for this algorithm and for this flowchart. Thank you for bearing with me. And hopefully now you'll be better equipped and better prepared to spot and tell when Russian propagandists are lying to you. Thank you for watching and bearing with me while I draw PowerPoint presentations. Please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel, more videos to come. Hopefully this content is entertaining. Drop me a comment below to tell me I'm full of shit, or give me suggestions and proposals on what to read. I'm thinking of the next thing I'm going to read on this channel is going to be, if I can find them, the Minsk Accords, apparently signed in 2015 to end the previous Russo-Ukrainian war, or rather Russian occupation of Donbass and Crimea with the help of We're Not There Green Men and separatists, freedom fighters, or rather Spetsnaz operatives. Anyway, this has been it. Thank you for watching this video, and see you soon.